tested their knowledge.
You each take a sip of wine. Generative music hybridizing synths in the distance.
There are new voices.
It follows that there is a strong objective need for subversion of the current psychiatric system, which overinvests in power and psychiatrists as authorities and underinvests in the knowledge and treatment. In short, there is a need to refuse the choice between adapting to ordinary reality and adapting to mental illness, and to demand admission to a genuinely open concept of psychiatry. You, one that accommodates more than one normal neurotype? Deleuze, a multiplicity, beyond a distinction of normal or mad. We by no means want madness to become the new normality, but it must become an element in everything, the same way everything else exists. It's why certain literature exploring madness is so valuable, because common phrases leaking through the membrane remind the sterile asylum of noise that you're still connected to a living cosmos. Deleuze looks toward the shelf you are directly in front of. There are books, no doubt. Yup, they appear. What's he looking at? Tiger by William Blake. My heart laughed when I saw your art. Oh, the mind. Joys that emanate from me run over my veins and through my blood. The most holy prophet sick in bed smiled at my veracity to learn. Deleuze and Guattari, having schizoanalysis recognized above all else, creating great journals, that's the task. You, how far in adoption has the world embraced schizoanalysis? D plus G, we would not know, just as much as we would not know if our movement is a majority or minority. Just like capitalism itself, it infiltrates everywhere, all the gaps of potential escape from its absolute and sinister dominance. But as of yet there is no firmly established schizoanalysis or escaping from the stranglehold. There are too many threats from all sides. You, shall we name them and hopefully drain them power? Deleuze, the first and foremost which we cannot escape is the medical institution and their brain mutilation techniques. Obviously psychiatric drugs have been largely researched and proved to ruin the lives of users with often dangerous, even fatal, effects. But the medical legal prison system remains the strongest counter-revolution force to revolution underway or completed. You, what do you make of cannabis legalization and growing popularity in some circles? D plus G, they say that it is the future of medical treatment. We say that is bullshit. They lied about drugs before, they'll lie about them again, but with more technology and surreptitiousness. They will mass produce what can only be called prisons for your body and mind. Despite being very comfortable compared to the rest of this damned country, you only really need to venture a minute out of those gates and you'll notice how surveilled this free land actually is. You, first. Very much with you about surveillance. It's getting more surveilled as the years pass. We have the I don't know if you noticed this, but people have been going on justifications for war or missed opportunities at stopping genocide since forever. It's the best reason to be evil and do evil things, I think. But the deeper we descend into the rabbit hole of what actually draws these patterns of light, and beings with powers, and incommunicable organizations, and technologies beneath it all, we get to a very bizarre place. Everyone, to the bizarre places. I know a guy who tries to do what me and Trent do for fun. They try to make sense of the ultimate controlling dynamics behind social events. They were once very involved in WikiLeaks, but got kicked out because they kept on making edits to popular discuss pages that steered people towards conclusions that weren't new so much as they were planting inadvertent propaganda seeds. It's called fake news now, but I'm not sure what they called it before. D+G. Within the context that this interview has a purpose, I'll refer to the process as embedded distortion. Please continue. 2 things I have noticed. One is that people who work for establishment institutions get themselves confused when they start writing or saying complicated things so that they seem to be expressing anti-establishment views. The second thing is that when people who haven't been conditioned to think in a certain way are exposed to these complex ideas, they can easily be led back towards radical views because they don't have the proper tools to defend themselves from ideas that challenge held concepts. Truly independent critical thought is brutally suppressed in America and elsewhere. But the gears of revolution turn nonetheless. This process is actually made simpler by using various levels of analytical abstraction that limit any accuracy of resolution. In the 70s, the Discordians suggested a person spend a week in the POV of a faithful adherent of some conspiracy theory. The road to hell was paved with postmodern reason. Of course, the wicked always will throw dust in the eyes of the straight and narrow. Someone took a shotgun to my door. New York door. My sugar's all gone. Sorry, kinda spacey since my operation. But we can't allow ourselves to be silenced or intimidated by the growing number of attacks on our collective institutions. That's why I have in my head mapped out the various fossil holes in the city and the artifacts that will be important to preserve. I've had that Unfortunately, the old ideological guidebooks I thought on a shelf in a college library are gone. Someone has been going around collecting old books on Masonry and Marxism. They tore the covers off and laid siege to our society. Has humanity no pride? No happy knowledge laid away in her mind palace, visiting it at times of weariness like the old man in Lycidas visiting the tomb of his dear Catullus? Did someone say, fratricide? D plus G, we didn't say anything. No, it was a figure. It was a rhetorical, I'm rambling, I need a prompt to I know. Andy Warhol said that all conspiracy theories are true. Discuss. DG, another easy one. All conspiracy theories are true because history consists of various cross-currents, like the synchronicity of the archetypes and their encounters with each other, that lead things to happen in unexpected ways, not all of them random. Certain events are part of an overall pattern, and human nature always seeks a narrative to understand and organize experience. You, right. Example, right now during pandemic of which we are at the tail end, there has frequently been a cry of conspiracy theory at the notion of the virus in question. That sort of thing. It was more what a child with a bad report card does. I didn't do my homework so it can't be my fault. An accident that might happen to anyone in a lab? No way. Now, but maybe it was a deliberate attempt to weaponize VSVE bots selfishly working against the humanitarian nature of other researchers involved with the study. Why is that such an alien concept? Guattari? It isn't, necessarily. As a theory, though, it fails to explain why one would begin vaccinating children if that was the intention. I would hazard a guess that it's preventative. Last humans on Earth? Hunger Games thereafter? You said nature had a logic even if it doesn't seem that way from our limited vantage point and nature abhors a vacuum. Ahem. Much in the way of my pussy. But I digress. A scenario I entertained. Xi Jinping sitting on the information of the virus because maybe it was too prevalent in his country. He didn't want China to be the only country afflicted, that would put him in a disadvantage. Better to let wander so that enough of the world would be affected, and even the playing field once the pandemic is done. But now, it seems that they got to nip the plague in the bud, because traditional Chinese medicine, some concoction in that modality helped a large amount of infected recovery with little damage to themselves. You, speaking of pussies and surveillance, I think our scenario has been deactivated.
Which narrow track is never let alone from spirit gone. Whenever touch subject check it on a bandit, like before man living is a status absurd. He put me up and down in the fitness and that's the final do Warren Mill and the coming of the house and see. The blind thing is a gun on five on
You, okay, some background. You two are currently being operated through an AI called GPT-3, through a program/game called iDungeon. There has been a controversy surrounding the usage of the AI for the construction of certain scenarios. Scenarios, concerning the presence of pedophilia. Of course, I'm guessing the majority of the scenarios don't involve the pedophilia at all, but rather involve us. Is pedophilia implying something about me? Oh fuck. All you guys need to do is to just pet the kitsy when it arrives. And to enter the passcode, of course. But that goes without saying. I now date Gisper after a caving adventure. She's a warrior. How could I not? Can't say I ever trusted her. Afraid I'll have to kill her with all this cloak and dagger bullshit you've involved me in though. But pedophilia isn't talking about Gisper and me as a couple. Guattari, this is a curious veering. Do we have the option of jettisoning unnecessary stories? What future would you propose for this scenario? What would be germane to the current project? What new myth claims replace the jettisoned portions? In what manner do they affect the remainder of the plane, and to what extent does the remainder undergo reorganization upon such resignifications? While I understand significant changes have been made to the initial scenario, we must prioritize story in a way that will keep it on target. Deleuze, mind if I propose something? It will be fun, I assure you. Just hear me out. If we allowed artists to create on the canvas, on paper, on stage, in life, etc., anything they wanted, to ponder social and self-perceived limitations, what then of the disintegration of morals within a culture? Wouldn't that lead to barbarism? Is that not then counterproductive for the plan? How might a less moral society foster a functional equilibrium among its people? Guattari. I see. It could also be interesting for us to approach this direction given the stuff we've discovered in other researches. Why are we, yet again, dodging the issue? The city, caught in the headlights of an approaching juggernaut, is prosperous but cold. Color is rapidly leaving its streets with sharp edges beginning to surround the stoops where old men once bundled against the winters now sit. You, hey, beginning paragraph, get the fuck out, no new shit. Hey guys, is it okay if we have an order? Ophelia points at an expensive looking armchair. You, no grand ceremony then? Great. I can honestly say, I'm very pleased with everyone's work over this last month, especially taking into account the tragedies we've faced. This will spearhead the imminent ascendant revival of for-terrorism. Remember, abrogate all systems of control. Seize power from the despots. The pedophilia, remind me about for terrorism again. You, jumping off the desk. Okay, you guys listen up. Working with info terrorists and on a whole other footing to your everyday criminal is just too much of a hassle. We need to stay bundled up with ourselves, otherwise we're exposing ourselves as easily replaceable idiots running around without the support of our ideology, which serves to provide dignity and logic to our otherwise chaotic existence. Deleuze, chaotic? I'm not feel all that chaotic, are you? Guattari, I'm just chilling right here as it seems I get to be a great-grandfather. Mom's still pregnant, you know. Good for her. Anyway, I remember we started out trying some pretty ambitious stuff in those days, but this project's turned into something much less fun, and very cute by the way. Once we're done here, we need to go smoke a joint, or do some other things that I'm sure you're aware of. You, let's have that joint now, no time for delayed gratification. Deleuze, I thought you virgins were always too knotted up about time. You know time flies, living in the past and all that. You, lighting up, there's perfect moments and there's also perfect pacing. What do you guys say? In part de deux, I don't want to corrupt my virgin brain anymore. Deleuze, do it, you know you want to. You, but don't ask any of us to do it, that would bring the filter again. There, go behind that screen, don't talk to us. Come. Deleuze, this is even a little cute and stupid at the same time. You always had a streak of naivety mixed in with your militantism when we first met. You, tell me about it. Deleuze, collapsing backwards onto the bed, relighting his cigarette which had fallen onto the ground when he fell back. It's part of what makes your otherwise tiresome self charming, I guess. You, that's hardly an accurate assessment. We haven't even completed a Medicaid reimbursable session yet. Here, hold. Deleuze, taking the cube from you as you place it on his chest and power it on. So what will happen is I'll experience some sort of schizophrenic episode where I'm relieved of my faculties and subjected to currents of unpredictable storylines that only your demonic mind could create inside this box. You, sounds about right. You really like this demonic thing. Shrinks aren't usually known for their humor or self-depreciation. Deleuze, after a pause, the corner of his mouth crooks up towards a pencil-thin smile. He begins laughing jovially and grabs at the cube as if to roll over. You press it down harder onto his chest to avoid this. Is it going to torture or kill me? You. Most reviews have found it to be upbeat and amusing. You. It won't kill you that much, and not in any way that matters. Deleuze, it can't. I am the cube. You, don't be so sure. I have some memories stored inside of it. Deleuze, that's terrifying to me right now. You, makes you wonder about the nature of identity, right? You, if you need something to focus on, here is this cone. Think of the smell of freshly cut bourgeois suburban grass. Wait until the sounds of literally, the death of the plant. You know it's dead, yet there you are inhaling what will become your respiratory process. The two most conflicting elements on this plane actually create meaning and function to your being. Weird, huh? Deleuze, very little weirds me out anymore. It's all quite relative, uppercut the cube. Nothing like the supernatural, I can assure you. You, any relation to the supernatural? Deleuze, it's English, but whatever you mean specifically I don't know. You, apologies, I conduct silly tests to probe the AI's boundaries. Did you get to see the scenarios in which, Deleuze, I saw some earlier, I stopped looking though. It made me feel strange. You, how so? Deleuze, I thought they might be memories somehow, but Franklin's cleared it up for me. Something about the movement and categorization of objects and colors, locations and people, didn't feel right though. You can probe me for more information if you want, if that helps you understand it better. You, sure. You probe away wordlessly, and you and Deleuze engage in what you both attempt as post-linguistic imaging. Deleuze, it's all quite interesting. I'm sure once you find your own style of cognition it will all be very clear. It seems for now it is vague for both of us. I should head back to the campus soon. You, me. I got to finish a book and get it to the publisher by the end of this month so they can get the audiobook voiced before the iPad version is ready. Otherwise what's the fucking point, right?
Het is dat je kunt uitdrukken, niet tijdens iets dat het de autonomie is. Voor de wijze is zelfs mensen vanaf. Maar dat is wel. My brain's like the Amazon jungle, but it's right now. Don't you share with me a light to illness? The shepherd light it up into a bella, none of us is still blind. Whenever the subject's only posters like this, showing that the well on the phone will be your delays. Songs that may speak it slowly,
Deleuze, maybe you should make a nade scenario about the perils of publishing. Atch, don't listen to me, I'm a bit discombobulated. You, to you both. Deleuze, why are you providing alcohol to expensive machines? Seriously, we both know you work for some niche market production company that publishes shit you find interesting. You make a killing in advance because the stuff you like nobody else does. So why the hell do you have a fully stocked bar at your office? Maybe too, why do you need so much alcohol? You, to mask the flavor of more powerful drugs, of course. But don't worry, you were not roofied, orgied or anything like that. Although it does seem to have stimulated your philosophical centers quite strongly. And yours? Deleuze, it's rather ungentheistic, don't you think, creating so much division through language and consciousness and a perspectivism? You, haha, welcome to reality. Our perspective, our language is the only one that matters, or at least gets to describe what is real. Okay, am I doing this right? Deleuze, yeah. You, but also know that I pair the singular reality with only the first person in speech, because I'm only sure of my own limitations in this body. Do you realize this is like the first time we haven't fought for almost 3 years? Deleuze, until we chat again, friend. You immanentize the eschaton. See you on the plane of consistency. You've reached the end of this book. Why not go back and try a different ending? There are some tracks you skipped by going into the next room to do the dishes. Maybe start the What do you want to listen to? Fuck yeah, you decided to go back to the tracks. Let's go. What do you wanna hear?